Good morning. Financial distress can weigh heavily on the average consumer, and ongoing stress about money has been linked to problems with both physical and mental health. For many people, adding to the anxiety is the helpless certainty that they could make ends meet if they get out from under the crushing weight of existing debt. I'm attorney Lee Perlman, and today I want to talk about the difference between debt settlement and bankruptcy, important topics that are often overlooked. What is debt settlement and how does it work? Well, debt settlement basically is pretty simple. You negotiate with a particular creditor to reduce the amount you have to pay that individual creditor. The terms of debt settlement can be anything that you and that individual creditor agree to. Typically, a creditor agrees to settle for less than the total amount owed in exchange for a lump sum of the reduced amount. For example, if you owe $3,500 and the creditor agrees to accept a one-time payment of $2,000 to settle that particular debt, the unpaid portion of the debt is canceled. Understand that in another common example with debt settlement, you agree to pay the creditor the entire amount due, but the creditor agrees to accept payment over a period of time with no additional interest. This is typically considered an installment arrangement. What is bankruptcy? Bankruptcy is a very specific court-ordered process. It helps you achieve a financial fresh start by allowing you to eliminate, reduce, or repay some portion of the debt you owe over a 3 to 5 year period of time. Some debts in bankruptcy are unaffected, such as student loans and taxes. But under the right circumstances, most consumer debts can be reduced or eliminated with a bankruptcy process. What else do you need to know? Obviously, the decision to file bankruptcy is very complex, and other factors such as income, expenses, and assets will factor into your decision and your specific qualifications. Let's compare 8 specific features right now between debt settlement and bankruptcy. Number 1, in debt settlement, you pay less than 100% of the settled debt versus in a bankruptcy where you pay typically 0 to 100% of the debt depending on your financial circumstances. Number 2, very important, with debt settlement, you can resolve the individual debts one-on-one, one at a time, and differently. Bankruptcy, you have to deal with all of your debts at one time, and all your creditors have to be treated equally. Number 3, debt settlement cannot help with immediate emergencies like mortgage foreclosure, eviction, and bank levies. Bankruptcy can stop these things, eviction and foreclosure instantly, and often allow you to have a court-ordered repayment plan where you can catch up on missed mortgage payments or rents in the bankruptcy process. Number 4, debt settlement is very fast. Many times you can resolve things in a matter of weeks or days versus bankruptcy where the simplest cases could last a few months or a court-ordered repayment plan can take 3 to 5 years. So they can be very different mechanisms. Number 5, debt settlement, you usually have to come up with a lump sum of money, and typically there are no formal requirements to qualify for debt settlement. With bankruptcy, not the case. Sometimes you qualify, sometimes you don't. Also, in debt settlement, number 6, you settle the amount that can be anything the creditor agrees to or decides, versus bankruptcy where the amount paid is determined by the bankruptcy process and a complete review of your financial circumstances. So they can be very different. Number 7, in debt settlement, the canceled debt is considered income for tax purposes, and the IRS is going to issue a 1099 form, where in bankruptcy, canceled debt is not considered income for tax purposes. So those are very important to note. Number 8, in debt settlement, you may have easier access to future credit, but sometimes you can make your debt worse if you fall into the trap of funding your debt settlement process with credit from another source. This is called robbing Peter to pay Paul method, where once you successfully complete all of your debt in bankruptcy, it's resolved forever. So what's important to know? So as you can see, there are advantages and disadvantages to both debt settlement and bankruptcy. Generally speaking, debt settlement is a better option for dealing with smaller numbers of creditors and non-emergent debt. Okay. Bankruptcy is usually better suited for people who are handling crisis debts like mortgages, foreclosure, eviction, tax issues, and imminent bank levies to help you achieve a complete financial fresh start. Ultimately, which is best for you depends on the facts and circumstances of your specific situation. Naturally, it's always a good idea to seek the advice of an attorney with extensive experience in both debt settlement and bankruptcy, and someone who can carefully review and explain all of your financial circumstances and options with patience to decide what's best to achieve your specific goal. Thank you. I'm attorney Lee Perlman, and I can be reached at NewJerseyBankruptcy.com. Thanks for listening.